I would like to introduce, in order to open the panel, to our dear friend, our partner Antonio Chen, representative of China Taiwan Republic for the Central American region. Good welcome, Antonio. Without a doubt, Taiwan is a strategic partner in this process that is accompanying Sempromipe to focus part of your regional agenda, the intervention in innovation and making clear the innovation strategy much more adjusted to the needs of the region. Taiwan is a referent. In fact, we all have something to put on or talk about on Taiwan, and it's a referent. And since the last few years, it's a privilege to count with you. Antonio, I give you the floor. Thank you very much, David, and a very warm welcome to the panelist members and representative of the government of Taiwan, the Republic of China, and Sempromipe for organizing this event, which will help to give a base of knowledge over the MSMEs and to build a comprehensive policy for the region. As cooperating organization for Sempromipe since a few years, we are very pleased to be able to support in this forum. Innovation is a relevant topic when we talk about entrepreneurship, which allows the entrepreneurs to dream and project in a large way. Innovation is not necessarily just synergy. However, the digitalization with the support of internet is a key factor. The social networks, economies in collaboration, audiovisual transmission, and intelligent city project, energy efficiency, among others, are successful examples of innovation. For me, innovation is the adaptation of new concepts, seeking a balance between creativity and feasibility with the objective of achieving an improvement on the product's process of preparation, marketing, or organizational performance. This is why an entrepreneurship with innovation would have the greater possibility to be an important business, which starts from the simple up to becoming large companies that generate more than $1 billion per year. Where the state has always been a topic of different school of economists. However, regarding innovation, the governments can and should show their leadership to facilitate and to create a friendly environment in prioritized competitive areas. For each effect, the government of Taiwan chose the industry of intelligent machinery, green energy, biomedicine, agriculture, circular economy, and national defense to design public policies and innovation. One requires the work together between different governmental entities. In Taiwan, the Council of National Development is in charge of innovation to support innovation, while each one of the ministries of finances, economy, labor, education, and governance have their own responsibilities to attend the requirements as intellectual property, human resources, and others. Besides, to create an environment where the people can have the trust and backing of the government to innovate and become entrepreneurship, and annually to collect ideas or innovative solutions. The qualification of proposals consists of three parts: effectability, feasibility of 30%, the social impact 30%, innovation 30%. Innovation allows to create the conditions to respond efficiently to the changes proposed by the market. Since it's a constant process, the measures taken by the governments also evolve. And besides the support from the government, the public and private institutions, organizations, and the academic sector and the entrepreneurship must be partners between themselves for the execution of innovative ideas. And it's a work and collaboration from all of the different parties. And I thank once again Sempromipa for giving me the opportunity to learn about the magnificent ideas proposed during this forum to talk a bit about innovation in my country. And thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so much, Antonio. I think it's relevant to see the effect of Taiwan regarding the creation of a sufficiently solid environment to generate this innovation and ensure that the different actors of the uh, innovation ecosystem from the academic part and the public part and the private part and of civil society be integrated in favor of this innovation process in a comprehensive way in a country and what we pretend to do in the region of Sika. It is very important to have the reference and benchmark that you can do, and during the next few months and the next year, definitely we have a very enriching exchange or interchange process to see all the initiatives that we can put on the table. Thank you so much, Antonio. The truth that in this panel, we count with two consultants that are so known worldwide, and it is it's not a coincidence that we're sharing space and that virtuality and technology allows us to bring all these experiences forward, and then later on this panel we can have a work group and dialogue group with more than 100 people that will be working together, giving creative ideas, new ideas, and to talk about public policies much more focused on innovation. I am very proud of introducing Susana Carrillo. She's doctor, industrial engineer with specialty in smart grid from the University of Malaga. She is a associated professor since 5 years in the Department of Mechanics in collaborating in the universities at the international level since already quite some time. Since 1998, she worked in the private sector, in the energy sector and electricity sector, and has been responsible for planning and working with high and low tension media from the beginning of the project. And Malaga coordinated control center working on topics, working on automation, communication, renewable generation, storage systems, energy efficiency and demand, and what has to do with electrical cars. Afterwards, she was responsible of the Malaga Living Map of the HEL project, coordinating different projects for the development of technologies such as efficiency and Manigai and Pastora, where they use in artificial intelligence techniques and deep learning and analytic data. Currently, she's the first lieutenant mayor of Malaga in innovation and urban digitalization, Susana Wong. It is impressive and what has to do smart TE and this innovation process. We have spoken and Antonio has been very specific in generating this information to create first step that we have to give to generate these continuous improvement processes and innovation. How does the management of a territory is managed for innovation? This is something that you were from the mayoralty of Malaga since quite some time. Good afternoon or good evening from Malaga, Spain. Before I start, David, I would like to send a greeting to each and everybody. Antonio, my colleague from the panel, Edna, of course, to you, and thanks, and Promipe, for having invited us to the mayoralty of Malaga so that we have the opportunity to share with you what we are doing in our cities since quite some time. And also send a greeting to all the members of the board of the countries that make up Sempromipe. The truth is that for me, it is really very agreeable to be able to share with you, despite the distance, everything that we have been trying to develop and enforce and display in our city to obtain a transformation. If I could show you how Malaga looked 20 years ago and what Malaga looks like now, you would understand more how so much installation of technology has affected the city. If you allow me, I'm going to share a presentation, and I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible to try to center on the most relevant topics that I have shown based on the presentation. Do we see the presentation? Yes. Yes, we do see your presentation. As I was saying, I have a certain period of time. I'm going to go as fast as possible. I have some concrete topics, and if any of the people who are seeing us right now, to whom I greet from Malaga, had the need to learn about something else of the information that I'm going to comment, you can look at me through LinkedIn and obtain the information if we characterize in Malaga about something that we share and work as a team. For anybody who requests, I'm going to start by centering on innovative technology and digital contents of the national pool for the entrepreneurship. I would like, before I start, that we would be clear that transformation that we have obtained in Malaga in these last 20, 25 years is based on a strategy that has been worked through within all the sectors of the city. This is key when many journalists ask us that many things are occurring in Malaga in the last few years. When the journalist asks, what are you doing so that Google can mount its security center in Malaga, or so that Mondragon established its news center in Malaga? News like this is good to ask, what has Malaga done? I insist on the response that this is an issue of a lot of work during a lot of time and many people working together as a team. So more than 20 years ago, the strategy of the city is based on the four pillars that I have on the slide. On the one hand, the transformation of Malaga, urbanistically speaking, culturally, one has bet a lot for quality tourism. We see Picasso Museum, a decent museum. We have the Pompidou Museum. We have a lot of very important museums from Europe, attracts cultural tourism and of a certain level and certain behavior, that many of them end up by falling in love with Malaga, and they come with their businesses or make business in Malaga. And another part of these pillars is Malaga innovated, investigated research is as an open. Malaga is always open that any company can come and bring their pilot projects of different technologies in our country. It's important because normally the companies try or test our technologies in a laboratory, and we do not have the opportunity to test them over client real clients is cities, real cities, and it's an open city to any company that would like to establish their technology here, which I recommend for those cities that want to advance on this line. A third pillar would correspond to integration to participate with citizen participation in all of the projects, and the fourth pillar is based on sustainability. All of the projects in the city should be based on sustainable mobility and renewable energy to the ODS and to comply with all of the objectives that the sustainable development objectives define. I want to comment that MALAC has always aligned with all of those European or worldwide strategies where it has been allowed for us to learn and continue to see the guidelines and be clear where the city has to go to fulfill all the objectives. In our case, it's established at the European Commission or the objectives of sustainable development. As I was saying before, in all, we have a climate plan that you see on the right, and we've had it for a few years where we work, as you can see, on four fundamental pillars. It has to do with urban model and mobility, urban metabolism, biodiversity, and governance, and social cohesion. Many concrete decisions are defined, and the budget should be destined to all these objectives and strategic lines. Another important thing that we have in the city is we have a strategic technological innovation plan where we define all the projects that we have to work on and develop in the city. We're talking about projects that can go from education, digital education, open government, sustainable mobility, and renewable and monitoring any service that is being given in the city. Within the strategic plan, there is a lot of areas with a lot of projects, and each year we try to advance along these lines, whether for internal projects from the Mayoralty or presenting project to the different funds of the European Commission or the different ministries of Spain for financing that will help the development of these projects. But I insist that we need to have a well-established and aligned strategy where all the participants from the citizens, administration, the entrepreneurial world, and academia works along these same lines. I start with the entrepreneurial world or the business world. In Malaga, since nearly 30 years ago, is when the Technological Park of Andalusia was established. We receive feasibilities for the installation of businesses there. Any business from the outside has economic facility and fiscal facilities to become established in these lands. And we have been able to obtain an ecological park with 621 businesses installed, 20,343 professionals who work there every day, and 20% of the GDP of Malaga. And they do not stop growing. And here are some other companies that are the most important, and many of them work also internationally. And to leave you some figures, in the data that the grand media of the workers and the majority of the talent that exists in the technological park, these are people between 30 and 32 years. We promote entrepreneurship. We have offices dedicated to entrepreneurs, and we have assistance for entrepreneurs, and one promotes teamwork for the companies that are being created and for the needs that arise from the companies that I have talked about earlier. If there's a business such as AirTech that is working for Airbus that needs to develop cybersecurity, they could speak to the companies or businesses of entrepreneurs that are developing the biosecurity in their facilities, and they hire these small businesses to help for the development of the others. Therefore, everybody advances at the same time. The topics that we're centered on right now in nearly all the projects are biosecurity, as I said, and the connected vehicles, cybersecurity. We have DECRA businesses working on that, blockchain, and aerospatial systems train technologies and the 5G network that we're implementing in the city can contribute to mayoralty to install services that will improve the quality of life of the citizens or improve the services that, as such, have been giving services to the citizens for some time. I also would like to talk about innovation. Malaga is a city that opens the doors for any company that wants to come and lend their technologies in Malaga. To talk about some of the relevant projects, and concretely the one of City Malaga, is we started in 2009. This was the first project that was financed by the European Commission, and it was developed in the city of Malaga. This project lasted 4 years with the participation of 11 companies of technology from Spain, large companies such as Telefónica, IBM, Devesa, which is the electrical company of the country. And this is very important. They participated in all of the innovation projects, and there's always a high percentage. I can reach up to 30% of the budget of the project that is done by the MSME, and they must be local MSME. So every time there's a project with a size like this one of $30 million, euros, a 30% must be carried out and developed by local micro, small, and medium enterprise. So these MSMEs need to work very hard. They establish a consortium and they obtain an innovation project and they start to talk in all of the clusters of businesses. They're helping to redact this document, and the MSME starts to offer their services and to hire people and develop technologies to be within the projects. And it's also very important that in these projects, the research centers always collaborate, such as in this case, the University of Malaga. So what do we do, or what do we dedicate to in this first project, the energy models and the management? Malaga was the first city of Spain that had all of its citizens working and managing from Tele. They had somebody to come and count the light to have some a system that was going to read your meter, and you could see internet from home. You could see the curve of consumption at every day and every hour. When the citizen understands why they pay what they pay, they start to consume their energy in a different way. Management of data leads us to not only develop the business, but also the users should start to learn to use the service that we're talking about in a much more optimum way. We also work with the installation of renewable energy at the mayoralty and control with the storage systems where we were working, for example, generation, wind energy in the maritime area. This was produced during the day and it was stored in three systems, and during the night it was used for public lighting, with which not only were we developing using the new technologies, but we were also showing the citizens how this new technology can help to be more sustainable and have a city which is even better for everybody. We also worked on efficiency issues on the electrical vehicles. We had the first post of the recharge of electrical vehicles in Spain and advanced systems, because I'm not going to enter into this because it's more complicated to talk about. But if somebody is interested, I wouldn't mind sharing information. This is the area of Malaga where we're working on. 15,000 citizens started during the first phase of the project of Smart City Malaga, and I had all these installed technologies and the electrical system that supplied the zone. This is a bit the scheme of the operation, but basically the electric networks are managed in a centralized manner. There's always control centers that control high tension and what happens with the energy down to the substations, the low and the low tension. They are the cables, the underground cables normally are not monitored, nor do they have a centralized control, but smart city Malaga was, they gave it sufficient intelligence to the transformation center with all of the consumption points and all of the recharge and all the systems of renewable energy, and with which it could optimize and make true areas from the localization of losses or localization of fraud or avoid damages and to see overheating, many things that served us to convert Malaga, as I have explained here, European network of living labs, because thanks to this, Malaga was certified as a smart grid city, which allows us to give the project the large-scale project that was developed since 2010-2014, lending recharge technologies and monitoring, and the systems for an electrical vehicle. We signed an agreement
with Hitachi, with Mitsubishi, and with the telephonic company that I was mentioning in a few minutes ago. And these were the first electric automobiles that we had in Malaga, in the city. And we do have them for the last 4 years with a monitoring device, with the support that we installed. So we knew at every time how they were being dried, what were the needs of the users of the vehicles, if they were filling at night, in the morning, if it was in their houses, at the evening. So this was very helpful for Mitsubishi, Hitachi, and all of the investigation groups that participated to get very important information that was used for the development of other technologies. What's important to mention is that these were the first UV2C recargo pulses, vehicle to grid. So once you are charging your automobile, you can get this energy back to the network. So these systems, at the end, I will believe that are the future. You can recharge your car when it's cost effective at night, and during the evening, if you have battery enough, you can get this energy to your house and recharge it and pass it to your house and so over. So as many other programs, technological programs, as you imagine, this is a non-stop. You can imagine it's going to happen in the future. These are some of the units. These are photovoltaic units. These are the formation of the vehicles that are being charged. A few other data that I would like to leave on the table. Satisfaction was 8 of 82 of all of the particulars of the projects. So this, for the city of Malaga, resulted in incentives for the citizens to get electric cars, free parking spots on the municipal parking spaces. They don't pay, they pay less taxes. So we are promoting more and more electric cars in the city, so we don't have much CO2 and we have a better quality on the air. In each of the projects, Elema City, Living Lab Malaga, and many others, we have a showroom for each of the projects, and we receive schools, companies for visit, or governments of some countries that wants to visit. Disseminating the information and the knowledge is extremely important with everyone that's interested. I believe that this is an added value to everything that we do in the city towards technology. Some other interesting projects has to do with urban transportation, electric autobuses. We have had many innovation projects that has allowed us to be in Malaga with the first autobuses that are recharged, as you can see on the slide. This is Aston technology, the same that they use with the cover of the trains in Europe. This is the same technology that has been installed under the buses. So the buses get to the bus stop, and while the passengers are arriving, they are charged, and then you go to the next bus stop. This is the system. It's completely safe. It's in the bus stop when the bus what is not there, of course. So this is a list of the projects supported by AITO in Malaga. We have information on the websites, of course, and this has allowed us to move on in this development of more innovative Malaga, more sustainable and more technological, that is better for our citizens. So from these innovation projects, what's important, remember, is to disseminate all of the technologies that you have developed and that have been efficient and have had a good impact on the citizens for the rest of the cities. Like generation renewable. We have more than 2 megabytes in the waters of the city and another amount on the treatment for the disposals in gas and photovoltaic. That is the one that we have on the different locations. This is a map of the photovoltaics that we have installed in the city, throughout the city in different locations. And these are the ones that are self-consumption and the ones that we are disseminating. We are not gonna leave Malaga with every of these covers. We need to benefit from the sun that we have in the city. If you monitor the water consumption, the energy consumption, the details that what are you doing and when this is being done, it's going to be better, the service, and you can improve the service that you are providing if you're a citizen or a company. As you can see the curves, when we have peaks, high peaks as this that we have here, if it's the maximum power that you are using, if you're using the air conditioner and many other devices in your house, you can have a different consumption and you can have peaks, but you can make it lower. For the disposals, we recycle with MT, that is the company transportation. The buses, we work on mobility, sustainability. I will not give much details about this, but I will go directly to the Congress, disseminating the information and everything that we do in the city. We have many Congress on our city, and we share with the companies everything that we're doing about technology. And I would like to talk about the National Pool of Digital Content. This is a benefit that we're centered on. We are focused on entrepreneurs. We work with the companies, universities, the digital content, and the citizens that would like to be part of it. And we work at a vertical level. We are working on video games and audiovisuals right now, because it's very clear for us, if you check the data, finding technology on these areas are very high, and it has a very high impact even during the pandemic. And we are capable, thanks to these different topics, to capture many citizens or to cut the attention of many of the citizens, and they can work for other companies that are not specifically on video games, that are related to it. For instance, people that know how to program virtual reality, that is for video games, are currently working for the Prado Museum on virtual visits for the users. So it's important for the young people to be up to date with the technologies, but also to be trained. This is why it's key for us, for the future, for our cities, to train and to transform at a digital level our young people, so they can be educated on technologies and trained, and they can have a way to make a living. This is a building where we have labs, we have images, virtual reality, 3D impression, and they are completely free for youngsters that wants to visit and want to receive the training courses that we have. And for the entrepreneurs that would like to be part of the different co-workings that we organize for the digital content. In 2020, we trained 1,700 people, and we have 65 incubated programs, and 7 that have been accelerated, 42 direct contracts, 200 students that have been hired on the technological park, and we created 109 companies on this specific sector. We have many events. We want to disseminate the information to the citizens, the different possibilities that we have if they are trained, if they learn about these new technologies, and the possibilities that we give on the city hall for them to become entrepreneurs. We have conventions that we have signed with different organizations in Spain, ONCE Foundation, Chamber of Commerce, and this is what we destinate to all the training that we give for free on this technological and digital topics. After summer, we're going to have a new project with the help of Fundación Telefónica, 42 Malaga. I don't know if you're familiar with them. We have other 42 schools throughout the city. This is completely free for 600 students that is open 24/7, where the students can be there for 4 years learning programming. We work on projects. The companies, the technological companies that I mentioned of the technological part are having a lot of problem to find programmers. Even when we have engineering schools that are graduating students every year, but the higher demand, it's very important, and we need more people trained on this professions, and we want to train 600 students again every year, and to have this number of programmers that can help the company to grow, and at the same time we can help our youngsters to become experts on programming. They can become entrepreneurs, or they can find a job. So it's very important to communicate everything on social network, to get the students to promote them becoming part of this efforts of the administration. And what we want to do, this is very important, is that all of this training should be for all the topics that different companies provide. If there's a need of people to learn Unity programming or virtual reality or designing on a computer, we formulate the trainings for the specific topics. These are accumulated data from 2017 up to 2020, generating 122 direct jobs. It's what I want to highlight, 262 hours on training that we have provided. Once we have trained the young people, it's very high. It's more than 90%. And to wrap up, this is a video of the polo. So you can visit, you can write, we can join efforts for new projects, and we are open in Malaga to receive you all. If you want to come and to work together in any other projects that you are interested in, that is good to innovate and to learn more. Thank you, Susana. Very impressive, the experience of Malaga. I see that you have many, many things in the short time that you had to present to tell us about that experience and how important it is to coordinate among all the actors and stakeholders for the development of these important technologies. It's important to take the risk and to have these technological initiatives, everything that has to do with planning and the vision of this planning from a strategic point of view. The leadership of the technological development and transforming a city is very important for everything that it's currently going on for us as SMEs to participate or a more tangible way as a business with all of these initiatives. The demo effect and the dissemination of the information, as you mentioned, are core to promote this kind of basis. So thank you, Susana. I would like to give the floor to our next panelist. It's an honor to have Edna Bravo, that is the director of Simesi's lab and founder, of course, of the lab. She has been working with 10 companies, working on tourism, education, and on the public sector, on the mining sector, and innovation lab technologies for designing strategic plans. Designing new spaces for innovation. And for the last 12 years, she has been investigating learning experiences, managing innovation, implementation of strategies of innovation, managing networks, design center on human. I believe that this is extremely important. Social innovation, open innovation, university innovation, innovation for models, and strategic innovation for the global context. In Central America, we have different actors and we have differences among these actors. And I was saying that our capacity of innovation should have something more implicit. Edna, what's for you in an environment such as the one in Central America, according to your experience? Thank you, David. I would like to thank Susana and congratulations, because this exercise of living labs, that I will talk about living labs as well from the human exponential, and we will complement perfectly, I believe, this topic. Thanks for the space. Thanks to the entrepreneurs, to the stakeholders, actors of the innovation. I believe that it's very important for me to share what I have lived about innovation after investigating it for more than 15 years. So to talk about innovation culture, David, I believe that first we need to describe a prior process. When you start studying innovation, first, the most important thing is leadership. The second one is the culture or organization, but leadership. The human perspective of someone who is designing solutions on an organization and how do you lead your team is what defines the behavior of the ecosystem. So to talk about culture of innovation, exponential innovation, that is what I want to share with you today, has to do with being a human being and being a leader and generating these initiatives. So I would like to play my screen, and I will share it so you can check everything that I prepared for today. So please let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see the screen now, David? Yes. This is the PowerPoint, yes. So as I was saying, when Sempromipe contacted me through Angels of Innovation, as I like to call them, they did the connection, and I said, okay, what's the important topic for Latin America? For all of this topic and for the needs that we currently have regarding globally, something that is not quite known, that is exponential innovation. After working on the Neosis Lab, that is the innovation lab of my university, Industrial University of Santander, after a whole background on innovation on the more advanced spaces at a global level, I started understanding, I started giving an answer to this question, to the culture of innovation. Since we don't have much time, I'll go directly to the results of this learning process of this last 15 years of my life that I have investigated the concept of innovation. In 2018, I was part of the Exponential University program on the university where you can explore if you're interested. They bring solutions to the challenges of humanity through technologies, accelerated technologies, as Susana mentioned, robotics, visual reality, but for a massive transformation. So to talk about exponential innovation, we need to talk about not only the technologies, but the purpose of transforming that we have as entrepreneurs and business owners. This, I believe, is the difference between the past of innovation, that is the implemental innovation, what we know as exponential innovation. That's the difference between the human being that is creating solutions for the market. After this investigation exercise and implementing in our lab for the last 7 years, I was able to understand that the world is abundant on resources, abundant on possibilities of connection, abundant on technologies that can help us to solve the challenges that we have as humanity, or the sustainable objectives that we have through a global agreement. But I have many questions for this space. How exponential are we as human beings to be able to have all this abundance? And are we worried as entrepreneurs to solve the challenges that can improve the quality of life of other human beings? With this experience, and this is what I want to share today, is that maybe when we created Semiosis Lab, that is an observatory of business models, high growth innovation, our first phase, our first learning was to learn the best methodologies of innovation. I believe that right now there's no discussion. The best technologies to develop innovation on nowadays world, startup, lean, agile, and design thinking, because the focus of the solutions can be for human beings that are the ones that we are generating this quality of life for. After studying these methodologies very deeply, the business models of higher growth at a global context, we understood that we not only need to talk about growth, economical growth, but growth and evolution as human beings. So I believe that the world and the conditions are there. So anyone at any space in the world, if you have a purpose of transforming, you can positively impact millions of people. And this is the result of this learning. And this is the concept of exponential innovation. This is not done through technology. It's not done through methodology. It's through abundance of human beings that are generating this. So the question is, what's the impact that I'm having with my solution at a global level? Because we are all one and we cannot think on local challenges, but to have this mentality of being more exponential and to expand the value at a global context. After this understanding, Quantic Lab was born. This is the study that help us to teach this concept, that it focus on small and medium businesses, because I know that each of the entrepreneurs now have had, as Susana mentioned, different labs where they have applied the whole creative process, understanding the market, creating solutions for that market. But we don't have many organizations throughout the world that are focused on their innovation efforts to a purpose of massive transformation. So what you need to do as an entrepreneur, a businessman, a businesswoman, developing your project is think what's the impact of the solution at a global level. This effort that I'm going to do to transform the industry is going to impact or improve the quality of life of millions of people. Is this solution that you're creating having an impact at a macro level? So to understand this, we need to have this discussion and be critics. Constructive criticism is important because at a scientific level, what we have seen through meta-analysis is that this information has not been democratic. We should go to the very beginning of exponentiality and to imagine a world that is in the campus of NASA, where first thing that you read is that your purpose and our purpose is to positively impact the million of people. And to understand that technology is available, the methodologies are available, financing is available, funding is available, because there's abundance and we have improved our quality of life. But are we ready as human beings to generate this transformation? Is this part of your purpose of your project? Are you thinking on a global benefit? And as a consequence, are you generating economical value? So at a scientific level, we don't have more than 30 documents on exponential innovation. This is one of the challenges for us as a lab, to disseminate the information. As Susana was saying, this is key. Disseminate everything that we know, because what we want is to benefit and to increase the quality of life, to improve the quality of life of human beings. So the concept of abundance, I know that we are going to have many other options to talk about this concept, because exponential innovation is the only one that can transform our current situation. We must be focused on Peter Diamandis, Ray Claswell, Salim Ismail. They have been pioneers, entrepreneurs, and businessmen of this concept. And Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, and the giants of technology. There are people that wants to improve the quality of life of human beings. The question is, mentally, as human beings, are we ready to generate value for the humanity. So what I wanted at this special point is that we have abundance. As Peter Amandis is saying, each of us, we have much resources, many other options as the ones that CEOs used to have in companies around 20 years ago.
We're going to have more and more technologies because digitalization, demonetization has been done. All this topic is going to bring for the world high levels of disruption. If we, in the projects that we're working on, we still haven't received that dysfunction, it's because we're close to become irrelevant for the market if we do not realize the power that the accelerating technologies have to generate transformation for humanity. But this is the outcome, and what comes in the previous time, which was a very profound debate that I've made with my professor, who is professor of the Harvard University. And so after I had already carried out a doctorate in innovation and had advised certain companies when we were in the Singularity campus, he said, you still don't understand what innovation is. It's not the methodologies, it's not the investments, it's not what you say it is. It's a philosophy. So that you can understand innovation, you have to understand the mind that creates the innovation. And it's a bit complex because in order to transform your mind and understand the true sense of an exponential innovation, you would have to change your way of life. So when he explains this to me at the beginning, I didn't understand completely what he was saying. The fact of trying to be investigating through innovation and advising many organizations with very positive results allowed the right to understand what innovation was. But he was talking about as exponential innovation. This is what human beings do in a balance of physical and others, and has the capacity to resume life that transfers its capacity to have solutions for the world, and it's absolutely coherent. Common human beings do not generate innovations that transform humanity. Human exponential human beings transform the exponential lives, and what we have to do is something very clear: is each one of us to investigate what makes us be better human beings, what makes us be exponential human beings, because later we will be able to use the lean startup and design thinking and all the methodologies and resources that are available to generate innovation process. But the first thing we have to do is have that sense of awareness of abundance that exists currently in the global context in terms of resources, in terms of technologies. So I wanted to share a metaphor that this week we worked on with my team, and now we're going to live moments of disruption. We have already been seeing, but disruption in view of the theories that we have managed in the last few years that study more incremental innovation. So to talk about exponential innovation, we have to talk about uncertainty and non-standard processes. I don't think anybody dares at this time to risk to say that they can generate designs for the future, because every day the future is more and more uncertain. And this is why it's so powerful, because each one of us in the projects are making experiments and understanding a lot of change dynamics that are going to have to be incorporated. And each one will do it according to the purposes or objectives of transformation they have set out for those projects. So when you have the opportunity to visit the Burj Khalifa of Dubai, you will realize about the grandiose of technology and of the human being, and particularly of the acceleration and innovation processes prior to 2008, which is when the moment of singularity came about, when it generates and democratizes technologies, exponential technologies. The challenge is how the active mentality aligns with that abundance in resource. It was too complex to design structures of this nature, such as Burj Khalifa. And currently, the software that the architects use makes it that every day they should make iteration and disruptions in the sector, and it's happening in each sector. But the most interesting thing is that these leaders on the concept of exponential innovation are doing the same as a software for the buildings, that is to change what we know as innovation management and the tools and centered in evolution and the capacity of human beings that have the possibility to live at its maximum potential. And this is a decision that we as entrepreneurs and researchers can do, because what's going to give value to innovation in the future is singularity in the ways of behavior that we have that will allow us to solve the great challenges of humanity. I couldn't speak about exponential innovation if I didn't speak about the only researcher that investigated innovation from beginning to end to create the concept of disruptive innovation. Since more than 20 years, Clayton started to talk that incremental innovation was not the answer for transformation of humanity, and started to generate the base of knowledge that are being used in Singularity University and the organizations globally that are starting, such as our case, to explore this topic. There is something that we should understand when we talk about exponential innovation. So what is an exponential entrepreneurship? What is an exponential organization? It's an organization that grows disproportionately, that grows more than 20%. And besides, it also uses exponential technologies for this growth and the solutions to those problems that are proposed to commercialize in the market. These organizations are directly connected with the large challenges of humanity. All these organizations have a purpose of massive transformation, as I said at the beginning. So the first thing that we have to do as companies in Central and Latin America is to start to make a filter and analysis of each of the transformation analysis that we are planning as organization that are generating impact for millions of people, because it's a level of abundance that needs to be managed in the current context. Clearly, incremental innovation has been our laboratory in the last few years, and it was very valuable for stable markets, for immediate results. But the exponential mentality is the one that's going to allow us to accelerate transformation of the quality of life of many human beings and sustainability of the global context. We're all in different points in this path, entrepreneurial path of innovation. And what I love the most about Latin America is that we will be able to give a technological and exponential jump, because we are not able to reach a level of incremental innovation. But all this process that we don't achieve is not necessary, because we need to jump to exponential innovation. It's very interesting what Linda Rothenberg says, who's a founder of Endeavor, is one of the most important disseminator in terms of innovation. Before, the governments invested many resources to finance these small enterprise, and many of these, especially in Latin America, had a degree of losses in the market, and they were not able to get to more than 2 years in the market. However, new organizations arise. They're called the exponential startups, organizations led by human beings, as I call them, exponential, that live in balance, that have abundant capacity to create, because they do not have that dilemma of a person that lives in disbalance. Maybe I'm not dedicating enough time to my family or the physical state to have spaces where I can connect. But these are human beings who precisely use that abundance and active dynamics to create solutions that transform the humanity. Whether Linda says that through these exponential entrepreneurs, we do not need many companies with one entrepreneur or two that takes a decision of making a purpose of transformation. You can make disruption in any sector. And I did not want to end this space. And I hope that you will have become interested in the concept of exponential innovation that is explained from the beginning with the capacity that we have as human beings to evolve and live in balance without talking about the exponential entrepreneur. And I have studied during the last 2 years, and he's Chilean. His name is Matthias Mushnik, and through his massive transformation objective, purpose, has been able to achieve exponential innovation because he's making disruption to the food industry, which, as of the knowledge that he has developed, we're not going to feed in the same way that we have done in the last few years. And 5 years ago, it didn't exist, and now it's a company that's transforming the industry of food, founded by Jeff Bezos and worldwide funds. But the most important thing, which the most important of exponential innovation, is the entrepreneurs that are listening to me, and the entrepreneurs or business people. I tell you to investigate on the human being created by Herman Mushkin and see his patterns of life, physical, emotional, and that they can learn from these human beings, and how, when you have that approach from the uh, exponential of the human being, you have an idea that transforms humanity. His company is based on research through artificial intelligence to combine the different components of the plants so that we can, for example, eat a hamburger with the taste that it has, but instead of consuming the calories and what affects our body, it's as though we had a nutritional shot that allows us to eat as though it would be. Imagine a hamburger but created as of plants. This totally changes the innovation models from the food industry, generates possibilities for benefit of humanity in the physical aspect, and what he wants is to share that knowledge so that you make a disruption or democratize the information in all of the sectors and in the industries. And really, it's extraordinary to know that there are very few innovative entrepreneurs. However, in Latin America, we have an entrepreneur that made disruption to the food industry in the global context. And this is what I wanted to share with you today, that reflection of human beings with common lives, making the same what everybody else does, following the patterns, what everybody else says that they have to do, that they must generate change processes, and even the theories, scientific theories, say that change management does not allow to make for change. This abundant world needs exponential human beings because technology, methodologies, and all of the innovation tools are there. But the question is, how exponential am I as a human being? How innovative am I in my way of life? And particularly, with this I close, by coherence, how a common human being can generate large transformations to humanity. There's no possibility. The only way is to take all these tools, and as we reserve time to study the technical part, to investigate methodology, the science of innovation, how wonderful would it be that each one of us could use our time to investigate how to be better human beings, because that's where the key lies of creative abundance that needs this transformation of humanity that we're having today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Edna. I think that more than a space for questions, you have left with us many questions that we need to respond. So I think that the human being needs to be aware, as you say, not the technology or the business. Technology is a means, not the end or the purpose. And I totally agree with you. And it's where you say to ensure that one individually make that multiplying effect and the exponential effect that needs to change things. Innovation culture starts by oneself and change mentality, if I understood correctly. And from there on, any methodology is the one that makes the processes advance and allows to change things, to democratize information and democratize knowledge. I think it's an important base that both you and Susanna has left as one of the important points over which we can work from here on out in the region to impact in an exponential way what we do and not in an incremental way. In our countries and in our region, it grows incrementally, and we have to see in order to leave that stigma, we have to look for the exponential and not incremental. And over all this, it allows to improve the quality of life and understanding the quality of life, the development of the communities, which normally is what happens. Thank you so much. Our time has concluded. I think we could be here a couple more hours. Uh, Susana, we have stolen the time and night and a very special celebration that she has. So we thank you so much. And especially to your husband and to having granted us some time to be with you. And I invite all of you to see or listen to the panel in a slower mode so that you can ask your questions. I invite all of you who are here after all this to learn from a Central American perspective how we can push these knowledges and innovation in the region and enter into the dialogue work groups to generate the proposals that will bring us, as of next week, to integral uh, table in favor of innovation. Thank you so much. Good afternoon and good evening. Thank you so much.